Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers, and this is an alternative project to our assignment 14 for those of you that are having real problems or got stuck with the simulation, or the simulation just wouldn't play on your computer, depending on how, what your graphics card is and what kind of CPU you have. It all plays a factor in how slow it's going to be. So I set up a scene, kind of give you an alternative scene, so at least you have a chance to turn something in. So this is for you guys that need a little extra help because of your computer speed. So let's go ahead and get started. So download my file that I'll have in my announcements, and just go to File, Open, and make sure you place the file into the default scenes on your C drive under Projects, Maya Projects. Okay, so you can see Maya Projects default scenes, and just place it in there. And we've got our alternative sim. Let's go ahead and open that up, and don't save. There we go. So it looks like that. Pretty simple. First thing we're going to do is we're going to select everything, and we're just going to center pivot right here. Make sure you're under Poly Modeling. Okay. And click on Center Pivot, click on Delete History, and click on Freeze Transformations. Okay? So you'll do that first. You're going to set up your preferences down at the right-hand corner, lower right-hand corner, a guy that's running away from a gear, and click on Time Slider and make sure your playback speed is play every frame and playback by 1, and max playback speed is on free. Click on Save. Okay, the next thing is pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and add passive rigid bodies. So we're going to select this slide and then shift select the ground. And we're going to go into Field Solvers and go into Create Passive Rigid Body. Now we're going to click the Wrecking Ball and all the bricks. Go to the side view and let's go ahead and shift select all the bricks. And we're going to go to Field Solvers and click on Create Active Rigid Body. Go back to your perspective, and we're going to click on, I guess I should have just left those on. I need to add gravity so they fall down. So Field Solvers, create gravity right up here. There we go. All right, so this is just going to be a basic dynamic rigid body simulation. So we're not going to be messing with bullet solver. Again, this scene is just an alternative to those that you really had a problem getting the other one to work. Okay, so at least you have a chance to turn something in. Make sure you add materials to everything. Okay, the ball can be red, the slide can be yellow, and the bricks can be red, and the ground can be green. Something like that would be fine. So make sure you add that. And then you don't want a simulator right now. We're going to also want to change the time. So we want to add 300 frames on that. Just click enter on that. That'll give us 300 frames. We need a little more time. We also need to add a little more weight to the ball, or the wrecking ball. So click on rigid body 3 or whatever it is, just rigid body. And instead of 1, we want 20 because all the bricks have a mass of 1 and there's a lot of bricks here. So we're going to do 20 for the ball to break through. Okay? All right. Great. So that's all done. Probably want to save your scene, but save it in the sequence. So don't save it over top of the start, just in case something goes wrong or you need help with something, or something just doesn't work right. So you can go back and open it up again. Okay? Don't save over that file. All right. So we're not going to go ahead and play the simulation. A lot of times your computer gets stuck. And this is a very time-consuming process anyway, so don't start it, don't play it. We're going to go do something a little different. We're going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to Keys, and we're going to go to Bake Simulation. Now, we have to have something selected, so everything's ready to go. So select the ball, that's Active Rigid Body, and then we're going to go into the bricks, and we're going to add those bricks. So those are Active Rigid Bodies. So we're going to simulate those. The Passive Rigid does not need to be baked. Okay, so this may take some time. So what I would suggest that you do, hit the 4 key, just go into wireframe mode. so you don't slow your graphics card down any farther than it is. And then we're going to go into Edit, and then we're going to go to Keys, and then Bake Simulation. Click on the option box, click Edit, Reset Settings, and then click on Bake. Now, depending on how fast your computer is, your graphics card, and anything else, and your CPU, all those things work together to try to calculate everything. Okay, so the idea here now is just to wait it out. It took about 15 minutes for mine, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, but it could take 2 to 3 hours for you, or longer depending on what you have. If you're running off a laptop, it may take a long time. Just be patient. Give yourself that time for it to process. Once it's processed, it's done. That means you don't have to worry about anything else. The computer, you're just letting the computer do all the work for you, and you just have to be patient. So take some time off away from your computer, play some video games or whatever you guys like to do, and check in on it here and there to see how it's doing. It may even stall, like before it hits the bricks, it will stall. It looks like it's not going to go any further. So just keep an eye on it, and if it moves 1 frame, it could just move 1 frame per 10 minutes. I don't know, during that process. So just be patient, let it run through, and unless unless Maya locks up, then you might have to stop. To know that, you have to do Control-Alt-Delete, and you can see where it's at. Don't do that unless it's actually stalled for a long time. Then you can do a Control-Alt-Delete to find out, and then you can stop Maya. Okay? If that happens, then what you can do is basically do a couple bricks. Now you can see in here it's giving me a warning. It shows that there's interpenetration. This happens a lot. I would say it happens all the time when you're doing rigid bodies. Just bear with it. Okay? It's just telling you that there's been some errors. It doesn't mean that's going to stop. It's still actually processing. You can still see it moving on the play bar. Okay? All right. So I'm going to pause, and we'll come back when it's all done. Okay, we're back. That's what it should look like when all the frames are baked out. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to click off and select everything in your scene, and you're going to want to go to Edit, Delete All by Type, Rigid Bodies. So Edit, Delete All by Type, Rigid Bodies, and that should take all of the other simulation off. If you don't do that and you click on Play, it will start the old simulation. Even if you have a baked simulation, you got to get rid of the old simulation first. Okay? So now we can go back to hitting the 5 key. Let's turn off wireframe unshaded, and let's take a look at this animation. There we go. Perfect. See, the ball rolls right through them. Here we go. And you can even go in here, go back to the playback. We're going to change this to 24 frames times 1. There we go. Save that, and we can play it in real time now. Now, obviously, that's too slow. Okay. So let's go back in here and change that times 2. There we go. Save it. And there we go. That's a little better. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Still a little bit slow, but that's okay. All right. So make sure you add materials. You can even texture if you want to, if you have time. Texture the scene. And just so I can see everything, the least you can do is add materials and do colors. Okay. All right, so that is it. Once you get that, you can do a play blast, turn it in, make sure you compress it with Xvid or H.264. If you don't have that, then bring it into Premiere, and you can probably save that out, export it out as an H.264. or Xvid if you want to. Xvid is free to download. Anyway, hopefully that helps you guys. Some of you that didn't turn your stuff in on Friday will at least have a chance to turn it in on Saturday. I'll send this announcement out for those of you that just couldn't get it done. And yeah, you'll have to take a hit on 4 points, but that is but you didn't have to do the other simulation, and at least you can get some points on it. And anyway, I hope that helps you, and I'll see you guys, and make sure you start Module 15 right away. All right, have a great week.